Hey there, Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. In this video, I want to give you an update for the RCBS Pro Chucker 5 and Pro Chucker 7 priming system. Now you may have heard that early in the production run there were some issues with primer sliders breaking on these presses. I even experienced that myself. Well, I've been working with RCBS on troubleshooting and testing fixes, and I'm happy to say that replacement, upgraded primer sliders are available that fix this issue, and they're available to all Pro Chucker 5 or Pro Chucker 7 press owners. So what I want to do in this video is quickly describe the problem. I want to talk about how you can install replacement sliders and avoid broken primer sliders, and then I want to give you the information you'll need to contact RCBS if you do need to get these replacement sliders. RCBS stands behind their products. They're going to take care of you. So let's take a quick look at the priming system. So let's first take a look at the priming system in action. Right now I've got the press set up for 25-45 sharps, which is basically 223 Remington, but we're using a 25 caliber bullet. More on that in upcoming videos. So right now the primer slider is in the forwardmost position. It's under the shell casing that was just primed. I'll show you that. So we've got a primer there. Put that right back into the station number 2 there. So I'm going to grab a bullet, which I'm using in station number 6. Okay, when we go to the top of the stroke, we're going to see the primer slider move back as the post rides along this cam, moves it into the rearmost position, it picks up a primer. In this moving back to the rearmost position is one of the times when you can snap a primer slider. If there's a primer cockeyed in the priming station, it'll actually bind and you can break a primer slider there. The other issue I had was stickbacks in the rearmost position when primers could get tilted and not feed smoothly. So we're going to go forward here. We're going to prime in the downstroke. Now we've got another shell casing with a new primer in it like we would expect. So that's the basic function of the priming system. Let me quickly cover now for you how you replace a primer slider. It's a very easy process. So I'm going to leave the press set up and I'm going to leave the primers loaded in the drop tube. So we need to take off this rear guard. Have that a little bit too tight, I guess. And then we're going to loosen the screw that holds the primer dispenser down. The primer dispenser is at the bottom of the primer drop tube. I'm actually going to undo the spring here, which we can just detach from the top post on the primer slider itself. And we work the screw out. Okay. Now, rotate the entire priming system. Put your finger under the bottom primer and then just lift off. It's that easy. Okay. Now we can take the primer slider, we move the press handle up slightly so it will release. Now we take the new primer slider, put it back in the forwardmost position is fine. Reach over, grab our primer column here. We're going to align it over the hole, finger tighten this screw, which you can get basically most of the way down there. If you can feel it settle down, you can just screw that down. And when it gets close, we're going to take this Allen key and then just tighten it down. Doesn't take a whole lot there. Then we can reach over with the spring and then pop that down over the post. The final step is to put the rear guard with the downward facing flange towards the back. Okay, this one we can spin on with the end of the Allen key, like so. Line it up parallel here. There we go. We've just upgraded our press. Let's do a quick test. We went through the same steps to replace a primer slider. And we're all good. So let's take a quick look at the updated sliders. So this is an original slider here, and there's a couple things to notice. There's a completely flat top surface, and there's an abrupt transition between the post, which slides on the cam, and the main body of the slider. These are the upgraded sliders. The Pro Chucker 5 has a longer slider because it has a smaller diameter shell plate. Pro Chucker 7 has shorter sliders, and you'll notice two distinct features. The easiest to tell is there's a step down here, where the portion of the slider that actually picks up the primer is actually stepped down slightly. The second is the stress concentration, where the post joins up with the rest of the primer slider. The main body of the primer slider actually has these little notches cut out, which serve to strengthen the post, where the transition between the post and the main body transition takes place. There's also a filled in solid void down there, just like on the originals. So if you want to make sure your RCBS Pro Chucker priming system is going to work as reliably as possible, I have 3 easy tips for you. The first is to make sure that you're running the updated primer slider design with the step down feature. The second is to make sure that your primer slider and slider track are kept clean and free of debris. It's really important to make sure that it can slide back and forth freely without binding, otherwise you could definitely run into issues. The third is when you're lowering the ram, pushing the handle forward, don't let go of the handle prematurely and let it abruptly drop and hit and bottom out. What can actually happen is the primer can cock itself sideways and jam, and then when the primer slider tries to go back, it's going to jam up, and that can actually break a primer slider as well. So always check your primer, make sure it's seated. You can always tip it with your finger and you're off and running. Always lower the ram smoothly and let it bottom out at a very low speed so that it doesn't have an abrupt jarring action. If you follow those tips, you're going to have really good luck with your RCBS priming system. Now, in the video description, I've got the 800 number that you can call and the tech support email address that you can email if you need help with your press. They will stand behind their products for sure. They'll get you taken care of, so there's no worry there. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you don't want to miss any of the action on Ultimate Reloader, please subscribe to my channel. I got a lot more RCBS Pro Chucker related content coming up that you're not going to want to miss. Until then, happy shooting and happy reloading.